to the awesemo.com live before lock show. It's wild card weekend. We got some big slates on FanDuel that are Saturday only. We have big Saturday, Sunday slates on DraftKings. We have whatever slates are on Yahoo that you can use promo code awesemo for and get $30 free right now with any deposit. But we're talking about all of it. It's NFL wildcard weekend. We're excited. I'm excited. I'm Chris Spags, joined by my good pal, the Chubster, Josh Engelman. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm fantastic. I'm watching this Yahoo tournament pretty clearly not fill. They need 6,000 more entries in a 10 max in the next hour. So a tournament with zero rake to start of is going to have overlay. So you can't beat that one. It's the best tournament you can get in.
Yeah, so get your little butts on Yahoo then. Use that promo code AWESEMO. Deposit now. Get in there because, again, overlay is an important way to build bankroll. Tell a lot of the guys who maybe even, I don't know if it's for a fact, I would assume Alex has probably taken some overlay in his life that got him going. So, be smart. Go take the site that's doing a lot of overlay and we'll just give you free money.
Yes, sir.
Go check out Yahoo now. Let's talk about it, Josh. What are we doing? We got Kiki Cutesy in the lineup. No other major injury news. We have Hunter Henry still pending tomorrow. But overall, that's the main news items I guess we needed to look out for. What are you seeing so far in your crunches?
A lot of Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay. It's contrarian.
Yeah. I'm going there. I
What?
feel more confident.
No stacks?
Look, I have some Gus Edwards as well.
Of course, the Lamar Jackson Gus Edwards connection with a lot of positive correlation.
I feel like, oh God, I don't know. Like, it's hard to explain it. I feel more confident in Lamar Jackson being able to be functional from a fantasy perspective than I do anyone else on this slate.
You really? Like, even, the Texans quarterback situation seems pretty good here. The Andrew Luck on the other side seems pretty good here. Do you feel more comfortable with Lamar Jackson than both? Is that a price thing?
Well, do you think the Ravens can win the game?
Yes, of course.
How do they do that in any shape or form without Lamar Jackson having to be a part of that?
Okay, so these are two different answers then. I think they can win the game. I think the Chargers actually do win. And I actually am playing a good chunk of Chargers D. Lamar Jackson, for all his faults, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. But I think that might be due for some regression. Just because I think he's a good player, to be clear. But I don't think he's as good. I think it's more of a construct of the offense where something could give here. And that's the one spot I felt comfortable going a little contrarian with. But yeah, no, you're right. If the Ravens win, it's going to be on Lamar and just running a lot and then dink and dunk passes and handoffs to Gus or Kenneth Dixon.
Yeah, like the way that I think about it is if things go well for the Ravens, it almost has to have at least some piece of Jackson being solid. I don't know how else it could happen outside of like a really ridiculous defensive game, which I'd be fine with as well. But every other team on the slate can get there with multiple guys. And the concentration of fantasy talent on the Ravens is so tight that I'm willing to just stick with that and build around all of the good bits of everything else.
So what are you getting in there with Lamar then?
Give me one second. I just wanted to look at the line. Okay, so it is still 2.5. So they are the favorites in that game. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. I think that line has come down a little. Yesterday and on the contrary, I think either Alex or Evan had said that a lot of public money was on the Chargers. For whatever reason.
At Pinnacle, it's more likely to go to 3 than do anything else.
Okay.
-2.5 for the Ravens is at -119. Anyway, the rest of it. Lots of Zeke, Lamar Miller, Chris Carson. If we're talking, I'm just going through, highest exposures for running backs. Zeke, Lamar Miller, Chris Carson, Marlon Mack. And then for wideouts, Tyler Lockett, Hilton. Keenan Allen is really the only piece of the Chargers that I'm going to. Just kind of betting on the Chargers being in it based on their best player. Second best player. Depends how healthy you think Melvin Gordon is.
Yeah.
Wide receiver is giving me the biggest pause. I can't really figure out what I like because I don't really like anything. So that scares me.
It's tough. I mean, like if you're trying to get T.Y. Hilton and DeAndre Hopkins in a lineup on DraftKings, It is a real squeeze to go to Zeke if you're trying to get him in there. And there's not enough guys. Like I like some cheap guys. Like I think Kiki QT is in a pretty good spot. He's returned from injury a couple times. Hamstring injuries freak me out a little bit because the guys can just go back out real fast. But he's returned from that hamstring injury a couple times and had 9 targets in one game back, I think 15 targets in another game back. So I think he's going to come into a pretty decent role. I have way too much Kiki QT, like right from the jump. I'm over 50% Kiki QT.
I have 0.
So we got a Kiki QT stance to draw a line in the middle here. Yeah, I think he's in a good spot. He's a high target guy. The Colts allow a lot of throws underneath. I think it kind of fits the profile. And to me too, he's not a pivot to Hopkins, but I feel like he's a way to get that passing attack if you can't afford Hopkins.
Is he a high target guy?
When he's healthy, when he plays. Oh wait, yeah.
Okay.
He's when he's played games this year, which again, and also Demaryius Thomas out. There is a bit of a vacuum there, a bit of a to quote an NBA thing, I say a fair amount of usage vacuum there.
Sure.
Where something's got to give. Yeah, week 4, 15 targets when he came back, his first game back from injury. Week 5, he had 7 targets for 17 fantasy point day. Then a couple quiet weeks, but I'm comfortable enough with him in a spot like this.
So basically, instead of going to him, I have a lot of Lamar Miller. Not that those two things are comparable, but that's my share of the Texans.
I think Lamar Miller's not getting enough respect from touting stuff and ownership wise. I mean, I guess ownership wise is in kind of that grouping of guys according to our projections, which you can still get, by the way. Promo code live before lock on Awesemo.com, and you get all of Awesemo's rankings for the wild card slate, all the little individual slates as well, and ownership projections, which would be pretty helpful because we do have a short slate here. But Lamar Miller, we currently on DraftKings project for about 21% ownership, so he's right there with Howard, Cohen, all those guys in that price range. Chris Carson too, also pretty close.
Yeah.
I think Miller is a strong play there, and I think he's probably gotten healthy over the last few weeks, and he could handle more volume. And I think the rushing attack for Houston is a little safer here than like Marlon back. I have a really hard time getting to and wanting to play.
I'm not happy about it. I do have some Mac, but I greatly prefer Miller in my mind. And again, like the Colts are just one of those things where I just don't trust Luck to be. I don't trust the Colts offense to be like focused on anything in particular.
Yeah, and I think that also opens up guys like Chester Rogers. I mean, Inman has had a pretty good couple weeks, though. I do think Inman is. I've gotten closer to less Inman today because he's had 2 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, and the targets aren't crazy high. And I think it's more likely to go to like a Chester Rogers today. So Inman is a guy I kind of came off of a little bit, but I agree. Like Luck could spread the ball around. I think Mac is an interesting contrarian play though, because on paper it looks like a really, really bad matchup, but Mac has kind of had those big 25 carry days in other bad matchups this year. I forced some exposure to Mac just because of that. So you actually might be on the right track.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so too for all of us. Like I closed out the NFL year hot. So I don't know if you follow the YouTube comments that closely. Some guy on the contrary,
I try not to.
Commented that last week he won $30K because of the Josh Allen and Zay Jones picks I got. I'll tell you who did not win $30K because of my Josh Allen and Zay Jones picks. Me. But like I won a roughly $29,500 less last week than that. But like I want to keep that roll going, but this is like a tough grouping of matchups. So like for me, I'm trying to lean on guys who I feel like have some upside, and that's QT, and I have a little bit of Chester Rogers, which I don't feel super confident about. QT though, pretty steady on.
That one's bold to me. I don't see it.
Yeah, it probably is. He's at 11% ownership projected on DraftKings. So
is he really?
Might come up a little bit, I guess. He's at 4,000.
Okay. Clearly, I have no idea what the price of anyone is on DraftKings right now.
It's nobody else is really in that range. You have Taylor Gabriel about $500 more, I think, offhand. Nobody else really. Golden Tate, I mean, but he's been so uninvolved for $200 more. I think he opens up some stuff, and you got to take any guy who opens up some stuff here because it's going to be a concentrated kind of game. I feel like I don't know. Melvin Gordon, though, I want to talk about a little bit more. You have any Melvin Gordon at all?
I had 0. I forced in 1, but I had 0. So not confident there.
I'm not confident there either. I do think loading up on Chargers is the one super contrarian approach that I'm curious about. The Ravens D has had a couple bad games this year versus like potent offenses. They beat up on teams that they should beat up on, which, to their credit, that's half the battle, really. But they have had some down days. Like let's go back to the game. I don't want to go. I'm not doing a full game log here, but Kansas City, okay, fine. They had a pretty decent day. The Ravens didn't do that well versus them defensively, gave up 440 yards. Cincinnati put up a little bit under 260 yards, but had an okay day versus them. In week 9, Pittsburgh put up a big day versus them. Like, I think competent offenses that have continuity can beat the Ravens. So I'm a little intrigued by it. And I also think, if any team's ready to play on the road in Baltimore, it's the Chargers because they don't have a home field advantage.
They certainly do not. That's your fault, man. Go to the games.
One of my best buddies out here is actually a Chargers fan, and I've watched a good amount of Chargers games with them. And it's fun. Like, they're a fun team to root for. They come through. They've come through on the road in Pittsburgh. They came through versus Kansas City. Like, they've had some moments where if anybody's going to beat Baltimore on the road these playoffs, not that they'll have another home game, but the Chargers are the team to do it, I think.
Imagine how much energetic love making Phillip Rivers is going to have if he wins that Super Bowl.
He's going to pop out another set of octuplets with the testosterone flowing through his body after that win.
It's going to be incredible. He's going to figure out some way to just like create 1,000 kids in one shot.
I was talking to somebody on a dating app recently who was one of 12 children in from some small town in Washington State, and I was like, "What? Like, how did your mom live?" And she stopped applying.
God.
But I mean, it's a fair question. Like, her mom must just walk around and it makes like a whoosh noise.
Oh, you're gonna pay for that one, I would imagine. It's 3:30 or whatever on a Saturday. We're never on at this time.
No, it's a quiet live before lock.
It does feel weird doing the show at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of used to it because on the contrary, I feel like it was so close to this timing for the week, but it is weird. It's weird to have football on a Saturday. Like, that's important.
That's very true.
Kwame Nation, the premium Slack. And again, you get premium Slack access with the promo code live before lock. So join us now at awesemo.com. You get 1 week free with that promo code. Kwame Nation asking, would you go the Eagles and Anthony Miller or to the Bears and Naheem Hines for DK Cash?
I guess the first two, but I don't have any Miller or Hines, so it doesn't make me terribly interested in either of those groups of people.
I actually just took out my one Anthony Miller lineup before we went on the air, so I too do not have either Miller or Hines. I think I would be more inclined to go Bears and Hines, though. I think the Bears D is a better play. And a lot of people, including Evan Silva, were pretty big on Hines being a potential pass catching option. Let's go on Plenty of Fish. I will not go on Plenty of Fish, DJ Suave. That's poor people dating.
How many beers have you had?
Just one. I'm not full Osmo, though. I am drinking the same beer. He had so an aggressive choice by Osmo yesterday on the contrary, where he was doing a power hour to pay off a bet with Evan. He drank a 90-minute IPA, which is a 10%.
What?
ABV. Yeah. So that wasn't Bud Light. He went strong. I didn't realize that.
Oh my God. I don't even know how you get through that.
No shit. Like, no wonder he was kind of getting a little drunky voice.
I mean, if you do that legit with those, 6 beers is really like 12.
Yeah. No, that's
in an hour.
The boss man brings it. Never let it be said that Alex Baker does not pay off his bets. He pays them off in spades.
Jesus.
I know. As somebody who once drank 6 golden monkeys from Victory at an airport while I was stuck for hours and was just like hammered more than I've ever been hammered without throwing up, I can certainly appreciate what Alex did with that showing. On the contrary, appreciates his sacrifice.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, also for the record, Kwame Nation was talking about Eagles and Lamar Miller, not Anthony Miller. So yeah, actually Eagles and Lamar Miller, then I would be a little better with.
Well, there you go. I would much rather prefer Eagles and Lamar Miller because I don't have Hines.
Yep. Yeah, no Hines. But I think Hines is a cute play. Honestly, a playoff slate will probably be won by a cute play. So I don't hate it, but it's just not someone I went there. Best way to go if you fade the Colts versus Texans game? That's an interesting question. Are you having any lineups where you're just like no Colts and Texans?
Probably not.
I did deliberately go out of my way to make a couple by hand, which had none in there. To me, I think the thing would be to load up on Cowboys, Seahawks, and then perhaps Bears offense would be the ones I would want to target the most. Or if you want to be super contrarian like me, even though Vegas very much does not support this, Phillip Rivers and the Cardinals, or the Chargers stack rather, not the Cardinals. Don't stack any Cardinals. The Chargers stack would be interesting to me. Melvin Gordon, Allen, all underpriced. Phillip Rivers also very underpriced. I think it's interesting.
I have one lineup that has just Marlon Mack in it, but otherwise everything has a piece of everything.
I also wouldn't be afraid to just take like maybe Hilton and Hopkins or Ebron and Hopkins and then Zeke and just play nobody else today. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to try to take the little pieces. And if you take the little pieces from tomorrow's games, I think that might be a better approach overall.
I don't even know who plays. Colts and Houston are up at 4:30. Okay. I didn't know the order of the games. I knew Seattle and Dallas was up tonight because I have plans to go watch that game. But
I actually avoided plans because as some of you may know, I'm a Cowboys fan. I am not going to watch this with people because I feel like it could be very depressing and I don't want to be mocked because I'm just not, I just don't want it today.
That's actually why I'm going out. It's a friend's birthday and he's a Cowboys fan.
There is a very real chance it becomes a harrowing situation for us, but the team is good this year and I feel like I'm confident in them. And it's better that it's at Dallas' stadium instead of being in Seattle because that harkens back to all the Tony Romo botching the hold on the field goal memories, which one of my most traumatic Cowboys fan memories as an adult.
Look, Houston -2, Cowboys -2.5. Both of these games are full-on coin flips, or what is essentially coin flips. They can go in either direction. Anybody speaking with like absolutes and this stuff, just tune those guys out, mute them, do whatever. These games are wide open.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, honestly, to me, the one game that seems like it could shoot out, I mean, there's only 4 games, but it seems like it could shoot out the most would be Cowboys-Seahawks, because I think those are both good defenses, but the Seahawks defense does break a little bit, and the Cowboys defense is not, they're a good one. Like, they do a good job tackling people. They limit big yardage days, but they're not actually, like, super talented across the board. I think people overrate them a little bit, which is ironic because people came in thinking they'd be terrible.
Total's gone up 2 points. It's the biggest move of anything on this slate.
I actually didn't even know that, and I made that take. So good for us. Good for us all.
That's what I get I should have just lied and said it went the other way.
Why can't I feel good about myself once on one of these shows? I'll tell you what, that guy who won 30K, though, I felt pretty good about that because that was directly my pick. And I was like, good for you, man. Good for you listening to me instead of Alex and Evan Silva, who are both much smarter and better at this.
And yet another version of Josh Allen is on this slate, and you're less interested. Craziness.
Honestly, they should just put Josh Allen on every fantasy NFL slate for the rest of time, and I would play him.
He is. They just changed his name to Jackson today.
I think that's an insult to Josh Allen because they at least allow Josh Allen to throw it deep.
Yeah. I mean, you can take a lot of risks when you play with the Bills. One of those teams is a playoff team now.
I do think, though, I did play one John Brown lineup just because I've played him too many times this year with Lamar Jackson in the hopes that Lamar just uncorks one of those like long passes that he used to throw occasionally, at least in college. And today could be the day. I feel like you got to be ready for something weird with the playoffs. Lamar Jackson throwing for 3 touchdowns and rushing for 2. Not out of the realm of possibilities.
Dude, if that happens,